Hi, everyone. Welcome. This is the Surviving Life Today podcast. It's not really a podcast. In fact, this episode is more of a DIY. But if it's a podcast, if it's a chat, if it's a DIY, no matter what it is, the Surviving Life Today podcast is all about focusing on how we're all surviving life. Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining me. I am your host, Kelly McFarland. I am an anthropologist, researcher, educator, small business owner, baker, mother, farmer, and crafter. And this episode is all about the Ruth Bader Ginsburg Justice Collar, because we are all searching for justice right now. And I actually made this a long time ago. This collar is from when Ruth Bader Ginsburg passed away, and I was sad. Ruth Bader Ginsburg definitely was a Supreme Court justice who fought for women's rights. And so I made this collar. I just never got around to editing all the long video that I had in order to put together a tutorial. And I have now done that. And so please enjoy my Ruth Bader Ginsburg Justice. It's the RBG Justice Collar. There's a link to the pattern available in the description below. You can just click on the link to go to the website if you'd like to purchase the pattern or if you'd like to support me. I was going to call this the dissent collar, but then number one, I look more like a Supreme Court justice than her dissent collar. If you look, her dissent collar is like close together. And two, it's time for justice. And in fighting for justice, I think that this collar is styling. And I like it. And I like wearing it. And I hope you enjoy making it. So thank you so much for joining me. This will be a 3-part series. The first part of the series is focused on the materials that you need and getting started, making the first row of it. Part 2 in the series will be focused on the tabs, and part 3 will be focused on the outer embroidery. Okay, so in all of this, we will be adding the beads as we go. So thank you for joining me, and let's get started. All right, for gauge, this is, I did a foundation half double crochet times 20 for the original chain 2, and then half double crochet times 20 for 20 rows. Makes a 4-inch square. You can also do a chain of 22 and then turn in, and then the second chain from the hook. Do your turn, same thing there. All right. Materials list here. This is a black size 1 yarn. I'm using Aunt Lydia's classic thread. The border yarn, I use this 25 millimeter. This is actually embroidery thread, but anything that has like this thinner material. For the beads, these are equivalent to the size 2.0 beads. They're bigger. I'm experimenting with these. My older one up here uses the size 2.0s. In 2 different colors. You want a main color, and so that's this hematite for me, and then a different contrast color, sorry, that's the word. And so I'm using this one in white. I am concerned that these white beads might not be big enough for my yarn. The opening is really important, as you can see here, tiny, tiny opening on these, as opposed to my hematite color smaller beads that have much bigger opening, if you can see that. So of those, the size larger beads, the main color, I'm going to need 51. The contrast color, I will need 43. And then the smaller beads, I'm going to need more of the contrast color for those. So the main color, I need 22 of these. And the contrast color, I'm going to try these again, and that is for 30. And if these don't work, I'm going to switch over to these for the contrast color, but I hope not. For supplies, I also forgot to mention you're going to need a size 3.0 millimeter crochet hook and a beading needle so that you can slip those beads onto the yarn. Okay, and one more little thing. I forgot that we need a closer, so I found I have this little magnetized one. So at the end, I'm going to just feed some yarn through it and make it hook together. As you can see, I'll just put that there for safekeeping. On the original, or one of my versions, this is the type of closer I use. It's a double connection instead of a single, and it's just a magnetized one as well. So that's the way that'll work. And so right now I'm going to lay out the beads into the pattern. You have to load the beads onto the yarn before you begin crocheting. So that's the next step. Okay, so now we have all the beads laid out, and you can see this is the start that goes around the collar here. Oop, let me bring that a little closer. So this start up at the top goes around the collar here, and then we start with the tabs in alternating colors, and it starts with the white, the gray. Each alternating color is a tab. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start from the very last one, and I'm going to load it onto my thread so that my first row will be the foundation row. My second row, I will put the beads on for the collar. Third row will be all the tabs. And it's only a 3-row necklace, so that'll be pretty easy. And here we go. Okay, so now I have all of my beads on the hook. So I'm going to take off my bead hook, but my bead needle, and then I am going to begin by making a foundation row of a foundation half double crochet times 102. If you prefer just to use a chain, you would chain 104 and then come back, and then the second chain from the hook, you're gonna come back along your starter chain and half double crochet 102. So your necklace is actually gonna be just a little bit thicker than this one, because you're gonna have a 4-row necklace, including your starter chain. But if you do a foundation half double crochet row, then that's fine, and that's times 102. So that is my next step. Okay, so you can see here I went ahead and I got a white background so that you can see the thread a little bit better. Before you start with your foundation chain or your other chain, depending, you want to go ahead and get a lot of yarn, because these beads are going to become difficult to keep pushing out of your way, but you will have to continually kind of push them down the line until you get to them. But otherwise, hopefully you can figure out how to do these stitches, and if not, you can always watch other tutorials on foundation crochet stitches or half double crochet. So we're going to do the foundation half double. So what happens here is we're going to make a chain of 3. So there's 1 after I did my original knot. Oops, my yarn's on the wrong side for the camera. 2, 3, right? So we have a chain of 3, and then we pick up yarn on the hook, put the hook back through that first loop, and pull up 1. Now on a foundation row, what we're doing is a chain and a half double at the same time. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through only that first stitch, and that's our chain right there. And then we'll go through the next 3 as our half double crochet, right? And then we're going to go ahead and start it with the next loop. The next loop, you see our first, it's kind of hard to see because it's black yarn, but there's our first chain, right? So we go back through that chain stitch, we pull up a loop, and this makes 2. So we go through just the chain, and then we go through the next 3. Okay, one more time. Pick up, sorry. Pick up just that chain, right? Pull it back through, go through just the chain, and then go through the 3, okay? So that's 3. We're gonna go ahead and do this one last time from one last angle so that hopefully this is easier to see. So you have your half double with the chain loop on top. You go through the 2 sides of the chain loop right there. I'm going through 1, 2, right? Pull up your loop, go through only the top one, and then go through all 3. Okay, again, trying to get as close as possible here. You go through just that top little piece where you made the chain stitch, right? Both sides of it. Pull up a loop, go through just the top one to create your next chain stitch, and then go through all 3 for your half double crochet. I'm going to do a total of 102 of these. I usually use stitch markers at every 20 so that it's easier to keep count. So now we'll switch to a time lapse and I'll do the rest of them. Okay, so now you should have your foundation chain of half double crochets, or else a chain and then going back half double crochets times 102. At this point, you're going to chain 2 and turn. So chain 2, turn. And then going back the other way, we're going to start using beads. So I'm going to half double crochet 6 times, and the 7th I'm going to put a bead on. So okay, and so now what we're gonna do is half double crochet with the bead. We got the 6 to begin with, so here's a bead. What you do when you do this, you're locking it into place. So you cross over and the bead crosses over too. And then you put it into your next stitch and you pull, and you see right there, it's locked in place. So then this is just a half double. And so keep continuing from there. Okay, there's my first bead. And then now the pattern goes 4 half double crochets, 1 bead. So I'll go ahead and do this pattern, and as you can see, it's just locking it into place. So 2, 3, 4. And then the 5th one is with the bead. So the next one has this bead. We just slip it on down. And again, we're working on the wrong side. So here's the bead locking into place. And then we're going to repeat this through all the beads on the next. Okay, and so then after you do that pattern of stitches, you should have 6 more half double crochets to get you to the end. So let's see. And you should have seen on that time lapse, I was messing with having to push down the beads. It can get really frustrating to have to keep pushing the beads down the yarn. That's the one kind of drawback. But these really come together quickly. Here's number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay. And then once you do, let's do this very last one and this very loose one. Once you get all 6 of them chained up there, you're gonna chain and turn, and then let me just show you this before I do that. So by the end of this row, you should have the top of your neckline and the beginning of the beads. So as we come back this next row, we will put the neckline, the lower side below the beads, and we're going to start putting the tabs. We're going to do basically the same thing. The tab will be, you'll get to a tab, chain, do a single crochet, and then flip it half double to make all the beads lock into place, and then single crochet up and continue on your way. I wanted to say that you should have 102 stitches, and there will be 83 without beads and 19 with beads. Thank you so much for joining me on this tutorial with the Ruth Bader Ginsburg Justice Collar. It is great to see you, or I can't see you. It is great to see me, as Glinda would say. In the next episode, we will be attaching the tabs, and in the third episode, we will be putting in the embroidery thread. So please stay tuned or link to the next episodes. And don't forget, the pattern to this collar is in the description below. So if you'd like to link to purchase the pattern or support me, please go through the link. Any questions or comments, please leave them below. And don't forget to subscribe, like, hype, all of those fantastic things. Whatever you're doing, I hope you survive and thrive in all that you do.